And I think it is time to get started. Hey, welcome to At The Track Live. I am Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics, you ask? Glad you asked, even if you didn't ask. All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics-related topics, including, but not limited to, force, friction, aerodynamics, drag, lift, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, kinetic energy, potential energy, elastic force, a range of topics. And once we have learned all the science, once we have conducted experiments to drive home those concepts, then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and the students get to select a car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned in the course. Then, after they pick their cars, they weigh their cars, they test the speed of their cars, they take a picture of their car, they take a video, they check the year the car was manufactured, they enter all of that information into a spreadsheet. Once they have done all of that, then there's nothing else to do but take the cars to the track. So they set up a 1/64 scale quarter-mile drag strip, and we have a tournament and race the cars, and they're able to see how their cars performed. Did their car perform up to or below their expectations? And if they had the chance, would they select that car again, or would they make a different choice based on everything they observed? In the end, we have fun with Hot Wheels cars, and we learn science. What could be better? But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is all about Aerodynamics Presents At The Track Live. So what is At The Track Live? Well, before I can bring those cars in for the students to use, I have to make sure that I know exactly which cars I'm bringing to the students so that I can take those same cars back and keep them in the right place and make them easy to find. And so I have cars in storage, and before I can introduce those cars to the fleet and for use by the students, I have to make sure that I have cataloged the cars, that I have numbered them, that I've taken pictures, that I've entered the proper information into the spreadsheet, and this is my opportunity to do that in a way that's a little more fun than it was before when I was just doing it by myself, just with a pile of cars and something on the TV. Anyway, I will go into storage. I'll introduce some new cars to the fleet, but why is it live? It's live because you have the opportunity to participate. You can select a car. All you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, and you will have 3 options. One's the YouTube stream link, one's the Twitch stream link, which you don't need if you're watching now because you're already here. The third link is the most important link. That's the one that says choose a car. If you select that option, you will be taken to this page, and on this page you will see all of the cars that we have in the All About Aerodynamics At The Track Live fleet listed. We are now up to 872. There are 872 different cars that you can choose from, presuming that I put the last few cars into the loaded them up to the website. But more or less, you have at least, at a bare minimum, you have 165 cars to choose from. You can scroll through, find the car that you want. When you find that car, all you have to do is take the number, and let's say you decide this 65 Mustang Fastback is the car that you want to go with, and you click on it. You can take a look. You can see from the reflection in the mirror if it's a metal body on a plastic base, plastic body on a metal base, or sometimes metal on metal. And if you decide that is the car for you, then all you have to do is take the number, in this case 415, drop it in the chat. I will pull that car, and we will enter it into the tournament, and we will see if you can beat out all the cars that I introduce into the fleet. there are a range of cars. We have cars from the 80s, 90s, some from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. We have trucks. We have cars designed after real cars. We have fantasy cars. We have trucks. We have hatchbacks. We have station wagons. We have dinosaur cars. There are a few of those. We have shark cars. We have a car that has a toaster on wheels. We've got it all. So if there's a specific car that you know that you're looking for, all you have to do is you can drop the name of the car into the chat and I'll just look through the spreadsheet. Or you can just scroll through, find the car you want, and give me the number and I will pull it. Hey Caitlin, hey Roughshod, they have made their picks, and so let's go ahead and take a look and see what they've picked. So Caitlin is going with 346. Let's go ahead and scroll back up and take a look. 346 is, okay, Darth Vader. We haven't seen the Darth Vader car since about a year or so ago. We had a May the 4th Be With You episode where I just pulled all of the Star Wars related cars that I had, and we put those on the track. And it was interesting because I think it was the Millennium Falcon car was the winner, and it ended up being it ended up winning the tournament. And then something happened where I think maybe a viewer picked a car at the last minute, and that car came in and then ended up beating the Millennium Falcon car. So the Millennium Falcon car has the distinction of being the shortest reigning champion in the history of AtTheTrack.live and All About Aerodynamics. It was champion for about 20 minutes, and then it was beaten. So we will see what this Darth Vader car has in store. I don't remember how it performed, but just looking at it, it seems to have a good aerodynamic profile, and it kind of reminds me of that twin mill Gen E that Roughshod picked last week. But it definitely has the Darth Vader helmet elements present, so we'll see how that does on the track. Roughshod is going with car 200, and let's go ahead and take a look at that 200. So scroll back up, take a look, see. Is he going to go fantasy? Is he going real car? What are we going with? Okay. He is going with this Corvette Stingray. Now, this one is, I don't know what series this is necessarily in, because it's definitely kind of more, I want to say in that tuned style. It's definitely kind of compressed and compact. And we've seen some of those smaller compact cars like the Chaparral 2 do pretty well. And this might be another of those cars. I can't tell from the picture. It looks like it's metal on metal. But it's small. So with the Chaparral 2, it weighed about 40 grams. But it's definitely one of the fastest cars in the fleet, period. So just because a car weighs a lot, if it's got some other design elements that make it work, then it can compete with any of the cars on the track. So let's see. So we've got that. Never Ending, how you doing? Never Ending is going with 314. So let's go ahead and take a look at 314. See what he's got in the mix. After he picked the Hollinator last week, which was a bold choice. Didn't necessarily work out, but I admire the boldness of that pick. And we actually put the Hollinator in the wind tunnel on Wednesday and took a look at that. And he's going full gimmick. He's going 100% full gimmick today. He's going with the Rockin' Santa sled. And this is a car that I'd mentioned before, because we had, I believe it was last week, we had the Shark Bite car. And the Shark Bite car had that little gimmick where it had a tab on the wheel, on the two front wheels, that hit a little pin that made the jaw on the bottom of the jaw on the Shark flap up and down, and it slowed the car down like crazy. Well, this Rockin' Santa sled has a similar gimmick, and the wheels, you can actually see in this picture here, if you look at the back wheel and look at the reflection, you'll see a little tab sticking out. So the two back wheels have a little tab, and every time they spin around, they hit that tab, and it makes the Santa figure rock back and forth. So that's the name, the Rockin' Santa sled. And you know, we haven't hit race time, so if Never Ending, if you want to stick with the Rockin' Santa sled, you're more than welcome to. And I do have a car that this would be a good matchup for. I think I brought it out. I did. So if you stick with the Rockin' Santa sled, then we're gonna have a good matchup going forward. So we got the Rockin' Santa sled, and let's see. Hey, Keegan, going with 169. So let's go ahead and check that out. 169. Just writing this down so that I can, when I go pull these cars, I will know what I'm looking for. All right, 169. Where are we going? Right here. Okay. The Aston Martin Vulcan. Good solid pick. I'm trying to think. Have we seen? I'm trying to think if we've seen this one race recently. I don't think so. But so let me just write this down. The Aston Martin. Nice. So this one, the first thing I notice is that big flat wing in the back, and I think that's always, it's in my opinion, it's a plus, because it's going to press up right against the launching block and should guarantee that this car gets a good, solid, straight push. And one of the things that we talk about is that cars that have like a point at the back, like the Shark Hammer 2.0, it looks good, but that fin that comes out of the back means that's the only point that's going to be touching the launching block. And sometimes we see it happen with the Batmobiles and some of the other fantasy cars. And what happens is when they get pushed out, it's just all a matter of luck. Sometimes they get pushed out straight down the track. Other times they get pushed to one side or the other, and they start to bounce off of the sides of the track. Isaac Newton's third law of motion: for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, and they just bounce back and forth. And every time they do that, there's a little bit of friction that slows the car down, and that's not what you want. So anytime you can get a car with a flat back end or a wing like this to push off, and get a good solid push, you're one step ahead of the game. And this car, I don't see any reason why this car shouldn't be very competitive. So we've already got a nice little lineup here, and we are going to see excuse me, which of these cars can come out on top. The car that does come out on top in today's tournament will have the opportunity to go up against our fastest in fleet car, the car that is currently our champion, the car that won the races, the tournament last week and the week before, and all the tournaments for the last basically 2.5 months and 4 months last year. And that car is still, if this thing wants to switch over to that view, there we go. It is the champ. There's the champ. The BlitzSpeeder. The BlitzSpeeder is the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet, and it's not even close. At least it hasn't been so far. We may find a car today that can hang with the BlitzSpeeder, but It's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough because the BlitzSpeeder is just, we put it in the wind tunnel on Wednesdays and we take a look at the aerodynamic profile. And what we see is that this car, the airflow, the air hits the front of the car, goes up on the hood, hits that windshield, and then this roof line. This is the point where on most cars the air starts to separate from the body of the car, from following the body of the car and the contours. When that happens, it changes the pressure. And when you get that low pressure, you have high pressure in the front, low pressure in the back, then what you end up with is pressure drag, which works against the forward momentum of the car. With the BlitzSpeeder, because the air doesn't detach from the body of the car until it comes off the tail, it's minimizing the impact of pressure drag. Yes, there's friction drag with the air that's actually hitting the surface of the car, but I think that's the one difference we've seen with the BlitzSpeeder versus the other cars is, especially after we put them in the wind tunnel, is that airflow. It's the Coanda effect. The airflow is just following along the curved surface of the body and never detaches. That's the main thing that we see. And any car that can reduce the impact of drag specifically is going to have a better shot on the track. Also reducing friction. Can the car stay straight? The BlitzSpeeder tends to stay straight, but when it's on the track, it does not slow down at the same rate that other cars tend to slow down. Other cars, if they're impacted by drag to a greater extent, they're gonna slow down, and it looks like the BlitzSpeeder is speeding up. But really, with the BlitzSpeeder tends not to be behind in any races. So what happens with the BlitzSpeeder races is the gap just opens up toward the back end of the track. So the BlitzSpeeder is just looking for a challenge. I say this every week, but I still can't believe that the Gazella R took 2 races from the BlitzSpeeder last November. And if you want to see how that happened, and then you want to see the rematch, all those episodes are listed on our YouTube channel. Just go to the live tab and all of the episodes are there with time codes and the whole thing, so you won't be missing out on anything. Like I mentioned, we have Wind Tunnel Wednesday, where we take the Funtech Labs 1/64 scale wind tunnel, the Winsible. We put cars in there and we're able to look at the aerodynamic profiles. The company, Funtech Labs, has created 1/64 scale dyno. So it's basically got 4 rollers, so you can sit the cars on there, and we'll be able to turn it on, and so the wheels will spin. And then, most importantly, it raises the cars up a little bit. So the wind tunnel has 5 streams of smoke, but because the Hot Wheels cars sit so low, we usually only see the impact of maybe the first or second streams, and we don't get the benefit of seeing the cars, what happens when the air goes underneath the cars because they sit so low. Well, this dyno is going to raise those cars up, so it should make it more interesting viewing in the wind tunnel. But that is every Wednesday at 4 p.m. on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. And you can also take a look at the replay on our YouTube channel. So that is all there. Today we are going to get into the new cars that are going to be introduced into the fleet. And you find Hot Wheels everywhere. This is the thing. Whatever store I go in, I go and check out the Hot Wheels to see what they've got. And usually, if it's Target, Walmart, all those stores, the grocery store, it's usually the same thing until they get kind of a refresh in there. But this week I was in a sporting goods store, not looking for Hot Wheels, and I passed by and saw they had some Hot Wheels for some reason. So I sat there and started looking through, and I actually found one that I'd never seen before, and it says new for 2025. It's a little wild, but it's going to be in the fleet now. It is this one, the Cone Shaker, and there you can't. This part's green, which is the green screen is why it looks blank. But the cone shaker, not the bone shaker, but the cone shaker. The back part, born 2024 in El Segundo, California, right down the street. They're cones, stack them, rack them, line them up. Cone shaker cruises through the cone zone as it redirects traffic, helps with soccer drills, and puts in a hard day's work at the construction site. Okay. All right, so we've got a cone car. I'll be interested to see this in the wind tunnel, but today I think this part is sticking up so much we're probably going to have to use that taller acrylic cover, which is going to create some issues, but we'll work that out when we get to it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the cone shaker, which is going to be car number 873, I think. All right, we'll check the weight first off. We know that the BlitzSpeeder is 32.4 grams. Yes, it is still 32.4 grams. I am correct. All right, the cone shaker, though, is 24.8 grams. And what I just noticed, I was so caught up in looking at the cone part, is that I didn't notice that it is an open wheel car. And if the cone shaker comes off the track, those axles are going to be in trouble. Now, what I do really like, I like these flat metal sort of warning triangles on the back. That's going to be great to press right up against that launching block. But let me take care of the business while I'm here. Let me get my video of the cone shaker. And the good part is that it's got like there's like a little visor or something right there. And that area doesn't seem open. If it was open, I'd be worried because it would be trapping the air inside. And we've seen that with some of the fantasy cars have that problem where they end up having these weird openings, and all it does is just trap the air and work to slow the cars down, pretty much like a parachute. So this is going to be car number 873. 873, the cone shaker. But I do, yeah, those triangles, that's gonna help give it a good solid push. I just hope it doesn't crash. And while they're new, since it says new for 2025, I'll probably buy another one just as a backup, because if I get 2 years out from now and race the cone shaker and it crashes and the axle gets bent, trying to replace it is going to cost me more than, the $1.25, $1.50 or whatever that it will cost me right now. All right, so the cone shaker is there. Let's go ahead and get this still picture. But this is what I'm talking about here. So this is a solid piece. It's actually, I want to say it looks like it's metal. But if that had been open, then the air would have gone in there and gotten trapped, and it would have worked, like I said, like a parachute and just slowed this thing down. But right now, it's looking pretty good. All right, zoom in here, add the cone shaker. Whoa, okay, well, there we go again. This camera just loves to heat up. I'm definitely going to have to replace it at some point. So while we wait for the camera to cool off so I can get my still picture of the cone shaker, when I was at that same sporting goods store, I also picked up one of these. I can't help it. I pick up Ford GTs just everywhere I go, because they put them out. Like, I like the style of the car, but depending on what kind of paint they have and what kind of other details, I'm definitely going to pick up a Ford GT anytime I see one. And I do need to check and see how many of these I have, because I don't really want to introduce another one. Maybe we have a Showdown. Is it a GT? Okay, so this one just says Ford GT. I'm going to go in on technicalities because the other ones I have are Ford GT40s. And so since this is not a GT40, it's good to go. And so this Ford GT, we will put it in. Let me see if this camera's cooled off yet. It seems to have. I thought I'd figured out why it was doing that, but clearly I was wrong. And I am, let's see, try this again. I'll probably just take the still pictures and save the videos for later. The cone shaker. All right. Just lined up here. It's definitely unique. And unique cars, you never know how they're going to perform on the track. I'm just, like I said, I'm worried about these wheels, but we will see exactly what happens once we get the cone shaker out on the track. All right, next up is going to be this Ford GT. I like it. Hot Wheels. So this is from, it says Hot Wheels modified custom cars with features like bigger spoilers, body kits, and other cool upgrades for personalized style. Okay. All right, let's check out the weight on this one. This is coming in at 36.3 grams, so just at the top end of what we are usually looking for in terms of the sweet spot, which is about 32 to 36 grams. Let's go ahead and switch over here. Take a look at this car. This is, I mean, yeah, this is a good looking car. And beyond that, it has all the things that I'd look for if I was picking a car to race. Similar to that Aston Martin. It's got the wing at the back that should press right up against the launching block. Aerodynamically seems like a good solid pick. The real cars don't have the option that the fantasy cars have of being able to sort of exaggerate the proportions and give themselves an even better aerodynamic advantage, but we'll see here. Lock that in. And the Ford GT. So I've got a bunch of GT40s. Got 4 of those at least, but we are now looking at the Ford GT. I like those the 5-spoke gold wheels. I like those. Just a good looking car, good nice color combination, and we are going to make this car number 874, and this is the Ford GT. Picked up at the sporting goods store. I'm telling you, you never know where you're going to find Hot Wheels. I've seen Hot Wheels at AutoZone, although unless it was something just spectacular, I wouldn't pick them up because they're usually way overpriced there. But find Hot Wheels all over the place. I wish I was taking another trip somewhere I guess it would be, it would have to be Spirit or some other airline that flies out of Terminal 5 in LAX. Last year, I traveled a little bit more, and I kept going to this terminal. And in the terminal, they have an FAO Schwartz store. and they always had like the newest Hot Wheels cars, Hot Wheel that I'd never seen before. The problem was they were way overpriced, but they were cars that I wouldn't see in my local stores for a few months, and sometimes not at all, depending on how popular the cars were. And so I'd always pick some up, but I haven't been in that terminal, and because of security and everything else, I can't just go up there and go in. Got to have a ticket, so I haven't been there in a while, so I have to rely on just finding the cars out at the stores. And yeah, gas stations and big truck stops. So funny thing is, like, you're right about the gas stations. But now I usually just pay at the pump and never go inside to see what they have, which I should probably start doing. And it's funny, last night I had to go over to Home Depot, and the Home Depot closest to me, there's a Ross in the parking lot, and I never go in there, but every time I see it, I think about on Roughshot's channel when he's going around doing his hunting, and he'll go into a Ross and find all kinds of things. Sometimes nothing, but then sometimes some things on some deep discounts. So at some point, I'm gonna have to go in that Ross and check things out. So all right, we have the Ford GT, we have the cone shaker, and let me check the manufacturing year on this Ford GT. It is 2015, and into that end. Now I said that, so Never Ending, he picked that Rockin' Santa sled, and okay, well, just as I was picking, he's switching it up. He's getting off that Rockin' Santa sled, which in terms of racing is a good idea, because that little thing, that little tab that hits the wheel would just slow the car down. So it's fun to look at. It's kind of a interesting thing to see go down the track, but it was not going to be fast. So he's switching it up. He's going with 128. Let's see what 128 is. And scroll on through. 128. Okay. Now he's in the game. He's definitely in the game with this one. He has gone from gimmick car to fantasy car. And this fantasy car is, let me just scratch this out. This is number 128. And this is the Ballistik. All right. And this car has definitely got a chance, because if we think about that twin mill Gen E that Roughshod picked last week, if we look at the BlitzSpeeder, if we look at the Gazella R, cars that have done well have a similar kind of look to them. They've got, well, in some cases, they've got that long hood area, and then the driver's canopy towards the back, so that even if the air separates from the body of the car, which is usually right around the middle of the roof line, the back end of the roof line, on this car, that's all pushed back so far that by the time the air separates, it's not going to matter. Or at least it won't matter as much. So I think the Ballistik, that's a solid pick. And I haven't seen this car race in a long time. I don't even remember. I remember a student picking it, but I haven't seen this car race in a while. So, all right, you went from not a shot to a really great shot at taking the title down. But what that means is that the car that I was going to put up against that Rockin' Santa sled, I don't know if I want to introduce it. Let's see. Let's go. How about we take a look at... I've got this one. I've got to check and see if I've got another one in there. It's this 2020 Dodge Charger Hellcat. So let me just check and see, which is the benefit of keeping this spreadsheet. 2020 2020 Dodge Charger. I don't see one in here, so I think we are good to double check. 20 Camaro 20. Yep, we're good. All right, so this let's get this car open. 20 Dodge Hellcat Charger. All right, and check the weight on this one. We are coming in at 39.2 grams, which is a little heavier than what we want to see ideally, but hey, car's got to race regardless. And let's go ahead and pop this, get this video real quick, and we will see what this car has got. It's pretty standard. I don't think that a car like this will have much of a shot against some of the fantasy cars that we're looking at, especially like that Ballistik car, the Darth Vader car. I think the Aston Martin and the Ford GT will have a good matchup. That Corvette, I need to see what the weight is on that once we pull it. But I just don't think that a car like this, which is just a traditional kind of standard car, is going to have the right aerodynamic profile to be able to beat some of these other cars. And not that we haven't seen cars based on real cars do well. It's just, it's all about matchups. And what's the matchup going to be? And in this case, the 20 Dodge Charger Hellcat, I don't know that it's going to be able to hang with some of these other cars. But that's why we take the cars to the track, because we can be surprised. Let me throw in other background just to get some contrast on it. There we go. Get a better look at the car and zoom on in, and we have a new car in the fleet, the 20 Dodge Charger Hellcat. So now we've got this Charger. We've got a Ford GT, we've got the cone shaker, and we've got a bunch of picks, a bunch of viewer picks. So I think let me see, introduce another one. I'll do it anyway. Even though, so Never Ending pulled back on the Rockin' Santa sled, and we had the Shark Bite, which was that other gimmick car. And so I picked up this one, the Skull Shaker, and it's got the same thing. It's got the little tabs under the back wheels, and it is going to make this guy's head shake back and forth. So just like the Santa sled, that's what this one is. And it's another open wheel car, but I have a feeling this car is not going to go fast enough to crash severely enough to damage the axles. So I'm going to crack it open, and we'll see what we got. I think what I'm going to need to do, I'm always talking about these races, these fantasy races I'm going to put together in tournaments. I think I need to put together a gimmick car race. So it would be this one, the Skull Shaker, which is 25.6 grams, and it's light enough. We're hoping. I just said I don't think it'll go fast enough to crash, but with it being this light, it could crash. But I need to put together a gimmick tournament race, so it would be all these cars that have that thing that does something to the driver. We would have this one, which is the Skull Shaker. Then There would be the shark bite, where the thing, it makes the shark's jaw move. The Rockin' Santa sled that shakes the Santa head back and forth. There's the Hot Weiler, which is, it's like a pickup truck that's kind of a werewolf thing, and when it drives down, the gimmick makes the mouth open on the werewolf. There's that one. And then there's another one where the motor rocks back and forth. So of those cars, of all those gimmick cars, I need to find out which is the fastest, because they have no chance in a regular race. And they have no chance because every time that wheel comes around and the tab hits the little plastic part to activate the whatever the gimmick is, it's slowing the forward momentum of the wheel down. And you can think of it like either The Price is Right, or like those spinning prize wheels that have the little tab that kind of the click 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 click. Every time that tab hits part of the wheel, that's what slows the wheel down. And it's the same thing here. So you cannot expect to win a race on our track if you've got anything that's gonna hurt the forward momentum of your car. It's just not gonna happen. So I pulled this car, and we don't have the Rockin' Santa sled for it to race against, but that's how it goes. So it is now in the fleet, another open wheel car. This is, I don't know, it's making me nervous, because if both of these cars survive, that'll be something. Actually, this car against I think the Cone Shaker would definitely beat this car, because it doesn't have anything slowing down the momentum of the wheels. So yeah, that's gonna hurt this car a lot. But you wouldn't pick this car to win a race. You would just pick it. I don't know why you would pick it, but I do want to see it in the wind tunnel. That I do want to see. So we'll do that on Wednesday. So now we have the Skull Shaker. We have the Skull Shaker, the Cone Shaker, Ford GT, and the Dodge Charger. And then we have the picks that I need to go pull from Caitlin Roughshod, Neverending, and Keegan. And actually, Christopher, we had a viewer, Christopher, he picked a car, and he picked it on Wednesday. He had two cars he was trying to decide between. He put them both in the wind tunnel. We put them both in the wind tunnel, and he figured out which one that he wanted to pick. So I've got his car as well. So I need to go pull all of these cars, and then we will be just about ready to hit the track. We'll take a look at each car, and yeah, that's that. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and throw on the little bathroom break music while I go and pick up the cars. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. All right, we have the cars all picked out and ready to go. Let's go ahead and take a look at each of these. We'll start off with this Aston Martin, which is weighing in at 29.2 grams. And let's go ahead and throw it up there. And we are looking at this car. And I think it definitely gives me Gazella R vibes, and I really like that wing at the back. I just think that's anything that helps the car get a good push is always a plus. We see that wing is right at the roof line, which is what we see with quite a few of the cars that have been successful. And I like the fact that the windshield is at a very low angle, so that air, we'll put this in the wind tunnel on Wednesday, but the air should go across the hood, right up the windshield to the roof, and then probably start to separate about here, but that's pretty near to the back end of the car already, so I don't think it should have that big of an impact. Now, looking at the front as it comes around, this grille here, it does have kind of a bigger frontal area than some of the other cars, so we're going to find out if the air is going to build up in this area. And who knows if that might end up making the difference between this car winning a race or coming in just short of one of the faster cars. But there we go. We've got the Aston Martin right there. We have this Darth Vader car. Let's see what this is weighing in at. And 34.7, so it's a good weight right there where you want to be. And the thing is, with it being a premium car, like a premium character car, it still has the plastic wheels, which is great for us. And what is going to happen, because in this area, we know that the air is going to come up, and the question is, where does it start to separate? And if it separates early, like right in this area, then that's going to be a problem for this car, because it's going to create that pressure drag that I was talking about and work to slow the car down a bit. But otherwise, I don't have too much of a problem with this. There are this little indentation where they have for the visor, for the eye holes or whatever this would be, the windshield. It's not smooth. Like, for example, with the Aston Martin, when we look at that, we see that this transition right here from hood to windshield is pretty smooth, and windshield to roof line, very, very smooth. Let's see, Caitlin's asking, does it pull out a lightsaber? Let's see. You may be right. Lightsaber. This one does it? It's got something's happening. How do I? So it feels like these, like right here on the sides, it feels like these should move or do something, but this might not be that car, because I can't get them pulled out, and I would think that they wouldn't make it this hard to do. If this, I think I've seen the car you're talking about, but I don't think this is it. Pull it out in the side. Okay, so wait, first let me stop this from moving. See if you can walk me through. You're saying right at this point, I I know there's one that does pull out, but I don't think this one is it. Because if you're saying to pull on the lightsaber part, it doesn't move. It's plastic, but it's not coming out. And if this was that car where it came out, they wouldn't have made it this hard to do. So I don't think. Yeah, this isn't the one. But it's probably better that this isn't the one, because if it had something where these lightsabers actually pulled out, then there would probably be a little hinge and there would just be a gap, and that might end up trapping some air in there and working to slow the car down. So I think I definitely seen the one you're talking about. And I think there was a Obi-Wan Kenobi car that did that too. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But this Darth Vader car, it's got a shot. It's got a shot. All right, let's check out Rough Shot's pick, this Corvette. And this is interesting because it is one of the few times. Well, no, I take that back. We see it frequently. But it's a metal body on a plastic base. It weighs in at 35.7 grams, which is actually very good. And it's definitely got this kind of tuned look to it. The larger wheels in the back. It's definitely kind of compacted. The lines look good. I'd be interested to see this one in the wind tunnel as well. Yeah, I don't think there's a problem with this. I was concerned about the weight, but the weight's great. The size. Let's look at the back end, and this could be interesting because it's got that slight curve and kind of comes to this point here. So in all likelihood, this is going to be the only point that is touching the launching block. So what kind of launch this car gets is going to be, who really knows? But I think that's going to determine how this car does. Can it get consistent good launches that it stays more or less in the middle of the track? Because if it bounces off to the sides, that's not a recipe to do well and win these races. So we'll see how that turns out. We've got the 63 Corvette, and now let's check out the Ballistik, which was the car that Never Ending switched to after he got away from the Rockin' Santa sled. It's coming in at 34.4 grams, so another car that is right in the window and right in that sweet spot of where we want the cars to be in terms of weight to be competitive. And it's a fantasy car. The front end doesn't slope down quite as steeply as, say, the BlitzSpeeder. But what it does have going for it is this sort of Gazella R twin mill Gen E windshield roof line that's pushed to the back of the car. So this should help, because if usually we see the air separate, like I said, right about the middle back end of the roof line, instead of sloping down with the car. So this should be pretty good. Yeah, I think the Ballistik should be there towards the end if everything goes well. And back end, we're looking at a flat back end, so it should get good solid push and be ready to go. All right, last one we're going to throw in, since he picked it earlier in the week, is Christopher picked this Jaguar XE SV Project 8, and it's weighing in at 36.9 grams, so just slightly outside of the window. The window is 32 to 36 grams, and this is just a traditional car. Flat back end. We had it in the wind tunnel. It looked good in the wind tunnel. Didn't see any problems or issues with it. So there's not really much that I can that I would expect from this car. I think that this one and that the Dodge Charger Hellcat, that's going to be a matchup that we're going to go with. And between the two cars, I really have no idea. But I think they're similarly matched, and I don't think they're going to do as well against some of the fantasy, the Darth Vader, the Ballistik. I don't know, but this is his pick. Nice color on that car. And do the back wheels look smaller? I think they're the same size, or are they? They do look smaller, but I can't imagine they'd put, I mean, unless they made a mistake, that they would put smaller wheels. No, I think they're the same. But yeah, I think they're the same, but they do, yeah, when you glance at them, they do look smaller. Maybe because there's more opening in this the wheel well. I don't know. They look smaller, but I believe they're the same. I'd have to pull out I could actually have some calipers somewhere that I could use and actually measure that. I'll check that out, but I think they're the same. So we are ready to go. We've got a good solid lineup. We've got about 5 viewer picks. We've got 4 cars that are new to the fleet, and we have 1 fastest car on the planet. So we are just moments away from hitting the track, but I always want to explain, just in case this happens to be your first time watching an all about aerodynamics at the track live race. What you are about to see, you are going to see our 3-camera track view. The cars are going to start at the top of the screen on the left. I'm going to give a countdown, 3, 2, 1, race, and I'm going to hit the switch on the launcher. The cars are going to come firing out. They're going to go from top to bottom. They're going to pass out of the bottom of the screen on the left, show up at the top of the screen in the middle. They're going to go from top to bottom, pass out of the bottom of the screen in the middle, and show up at the top of the screen on the right, our finish line camera. They're going to come down, they're going to cross the finish line, and the winning car will be indicated with a solid red light. A solid red light will indicate the winning car. The losing car will be indicated by a flashing red light. So, solid red light, you've won. Flashing red light, not so much. If the cars crash, if a car crashes and leaves the track, then we simply throw out the results of that race and start the race over and race again. If that same car crashes twice consecutively, then that car is eliminated, because typically if a car crashes twice consecutively, it is not, there's some problem that's not going to be solved by just re-racing the car. It's just not going to happen. So if a car crashes twice consecutively, it is disqualified and we move on. The races are best 2 out of 3. The cars switch lanes after each race, and that is basically it. Now, I switched out the elastic band in the launcher today, so it's much tighter, which means we're going to get faster races, because basically the stronger that elastic band is, the more force is going to be required to expand it, and then that means that the contraction when the launcher is set it generates more force, and these cars are going to come out with some speed. So the 2 open wheel cars we have, their axles better pray that they stay away from that barrier. But I've got the cars. We are ready to go. So I'm going to grab these cars, hit the track pretty soon. Where's the... It would be helpful if I could find the cursor. There we go. All right. Yeah, we are going to be at the track. I'll see you in 30 seconds. Okay, we are just about ready to get these cars lined up and race. I just got to double check the audio. 1, 2. Yep, we're good to go there. We have a pretty solid lineup, and we have some cars that will be good matchups against one another. So we're going to start off right away. We're going to go with that Hellcat versus the Jaguar, because those are the two that I'm looking at that just seem the most similar, and we will get that underway right here. Got the cars lined up. All right, going with just a traditional standard car matchup. No fantasy car. No unusual gimmick. Ooh, this launcher, this band is tight. We might see some speeds today. The Jaguar is going to be in lane 2. And when the cars come out with this kind of force that they're about to come out with, it's even more important that they stay straight. Because if they start to hit one side or the other with this kind of force, then they're really going to be bouncing around the track, and that's not going to be good for the outcome. So here we go. We have the breakneck speeds. That's what we should be seeing. I just hope it's not a brake axle speed. So here we go. We've got the Dodge Charger Hellcat in lane 1. We have the Jaguar in lane 2. Race 1. Here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. Okay, the Jaguar took it with some ease. I just think that Hellcat, like, while it's, the real car, it's plenty fast, but on our track, different factors come into play, and it's gonna be hard for a standard design car to really have the same kind of impact as a fantasy car. But it's not going up against a fantasy car. It's going up against this Jaguar, and this Jaguar is also just a traditional car. So it happened to be faster in that race. We're going to see if this Charger can come back from down 1-0. We have the Charger is now in lane 2. The Jaguar's in lane 1. Race 2. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. So the Jaguar took it. The problem for the Charger is that it went up on 2 wheels. It came out, it was up on 2 wheels for a little while, and then it straightened itself out on the track, which is good. But if you're the slower car, you can't afford to go up on 2 wheels, because by the time you get straightened out and get back on the track, the race is over. And you're not going to be able to just make up that difference in that distance. So the Charger's out. I guess now we'll go, since we've got cars similarly matched, we're going to go with the Skull Shaker and the Cone Shaker. Shaker versus Shaker. And what I need to see is whether or not this Cone Shaker is too tall for the taller acrylic cover. It absolutely is. So gotta see what I can do, because I know if I just launch this car with no cover, we'll try it. I mean, well, I know what the harm could be. The harm could be we bend both of their axles and 2 cars are down. But these aren't cars that I'm particularly fond of. The Cone Shaker is definitely interesting, but we're going to race this one with no cover. And in all likelihood, you will get to see the reason why the cover is needed. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So the cone shaker is lined up in lane number 2. We've got the skull shaker in lane number 1. This is going to be with no acrylic cover. And what I think is going to happen is these cars are going to fly out and they're going to crash somewhere before the first camera. And this is why, you'll see. You'll see. All right, here we go. Race 1. We've got the skull shaker, lane 1. Cone shaker, lane 2. Three, two, one, race. I didn't just get in this game today. I told you. That is why the cars, and it took me a minute to kind of like figure this out, and it was basically I used the scientific method to figure out what was going on with these cars. Now let me check the axles because they both crashed. Axles are good. That I was having, the cars were just crashing a lot, and I had to figure out why that was happening. And the reason why it turns out it was happening was because the force that these cars are getting pushed out with on this, like I've mentioned before, I designed this launcher specifically to be able to launch cars with more force. And in doing that, what happens is the cars get pushed up into the air. So they go up. And so I needed to create something to keep them down, to keep them on the track. And that ended up being these acrylic covers. So what happens is the cars fire out of the launcher. They go up into the air, but there's a cover, there's like a roof. And the roof prevents the cars from flying off the track. They hit that acrylic roof, if you will, and then they come right back down on the track, and then they race. So, problem with this cone shaker is it's so tall. But I think this will work. It's probably not going to help the skull shaker. Skull shaker's probably just out of luck. But this should at least give us a fair race. So here we go. We've got the cone shaker in lane 2, the skull shaker in lane 1, race 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Well, skull shaker smashes into the barrier, and fortunately the axle is not bent. It lost the race. The problem is I don't think I'm going to be able to keep it on the track. We're going to try one more time because, you know, we'll see what's the worst that could happen. The skull, I lose the skull shaker, which no one in their I think in their right mind would pick to win a race, but I do want to see if I can get it at least to get down the track, so I'll know going in. So we're gonna set these cars up again. That cone shaker made it down the track and didn't have any issues. I can't tell if it's fast or not because the skull shaker crashed, and so there's nothing to compare it to. All right, we're lining these cars up again. We've got the cone shaker lane 2, skull shaker lane 1. Let's see what we can get out of this race. Three, two, one, race. Skull shaker's eliminated. We can't keep this up. So the cone shaker made it down the track, no issues. I still have no idea if it's fast or not because it didn't have any competition. So we'll just take the cone shaker. We'll move that on. I will check the skull shaker to see if it Oh, the axle stayed in place. I have a feeling I'm just going to take the skull shaker out of the fleet altogether, because there's not really a situation where I can imagine it making it down the track, and yeah, that's no good. All right, so we've got the cone shaker, we've got the Jaguar. Next up, let's go with the Aston Martin and the Ford GT40. Or it's not a GT40, just the Ford GT. The Ford GT and the Aston Martin. We're going to see which of these cars. Let's get rid of all this. Go back to the standard cover. Normal setup. And let's get the Ford GT in lane 1. And the Aston Martin in lane 2. And I don't have the paper with me. I think this is Keegan's pick. All right, we've got the Aston Martin in lane 2, Ford GT in lane 1. Race number 1. Here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. That Ford GT. I know it's just one race, but that car was moving, and that could present a problem later down the line. Let me grab my little notes so I can be sure who. Yeah, that was I was right. That was Keegan's Aston Martin. So we're gonna see. We're gonna switch lanes, and we'll see if the Aston Martin can get the job done. Yeah, that GT was flying down the track. There's no doubt about it. So that's the thing. We know now that the GT is fast. The question is the Aston Martin that much slower, or did it just get a bad push? I don't know. We're gonna find out. But the Aston Martin's gonna need to take these next 2 races, and it's not that it hasn't been done. It has been done, but we're gonna see if the Aston Martin can do it. So we've got the Aston Martin in lane 1. We have the Ford GT in lane 2. Race 2. Here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. Oh, this GT is quick. It's coming all the way back. Almost back to the start line. Okay, so the Ford GT kind of made a bit of a statement. Now, I don't know. It's kind of all relative, because in one race, if your car is racing a slow car, your car is going to look like the fastest car in the world. But that just looked fast, and we'll find out as the races move on if it truly was fast or if it was just the Aston Martin was slow. But we are going to move on to the next race, and that is going to be the Darth Vader car against Ballistik. And these cars have a similar, not a similar profile, but they both have like a long hood area with the driver's cockpit kind of sitting further back. So we're going to put the Darth Vader car, and this one is in lane 2. Well, if I can get it to stay put. Alright, we've got the Darth Vader car in lane 2. We have the Ballistik in lane 1. Never Ending switched over from the Rockin' Santa sled, and I think that was a smart choice that's going to give him at least a bit more of an opportunity to be competitive. And we're going to see with this Darth Vader car. The back of the Darth Vader car kind of is rounded out, so there's not much surface area touching the launching block. We're going to see if that makes a difference. Here we go. Race 1, Darth Vader lane 2, Ballistik lane 1. Three, 2, 1, race. Ooh. That race was competitive. Anytime that I have to look at the lights on the finish line to tell who won, that's a good race. So that was pretty close, and the Ballistik squeezed out that victory. So we're gonna see if it can make it 2 in a row, or if the Darth Vader car is going to force a third and decisive race. Let's get these cars lined up again. Darth Vader's now in lane 1. Lane 1. Doesn't want to stay. Sometimes these cars just don't want to stay put. Darth Vader, come on, use the force. Still doesn't want to stay. And it's important that I get them lined up so that they're pressed right up against the launching block. I don't want these cars getting punched out of the launching block, which I've described before, is that if the cars are not pressed right up against the launching block, then the block actually punches the car, and it makes the launch like way more erratic, and the cars just have less of a chance to make it down the track. All right, we've got Darth Vader in lane 1. We've got Ballistik in lane 2. Ballistik is already up 1 race to none. Let's see what happens. Three, 2, 1, race. Darth Vader crashed, and I have a feeling the car may have slipped. It may have rolled a little bit of ways, or rolled away from the launching block. And again, that's what happens if the car gets punched instead of pushed. So let me line these up again. And also, one of the reasons why we may be seeing a few more crashes now, there's definitely a design issue when it comes to the skull shaker. But remember, I said I changed the bands, so these cars are coming out with more force. So here we go. Lined up again. Darth Vader lane 1, Ballistik lane 2, race 2. Here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. That race was not as close. The Ballistik takes it, comes almost all the way back, and we are going to move on, and we are going to see who is going to move 1 step closer to taking today's title and challenging the BlitzSpeeder. So far, just based on what I've seen from the speeds, that Ford GT seems like that's going to be the car, but we still have number of races to go. Let's go with Roughshod's Corvette. This is going to be an interesting pick, and we're going to put that up against, we've got to take it out sooner or later. It's going to be Cone Shaker versus Corvette, and my money is not on the Cone Shaker. But we will see how this all plays out. And like, on one hand, I'm curious about the Cone Shaker. I like seeing it, unusual cars on the track. But just from a standpoint of having to figure out how to make these cars make it down the track, these tall cars are usually more of a headache. So let's get this Cone Shaker lined up, and those 2 triangle warning symbols at the back of the Cone Shaker are definitely great in terms of helping this car get a really good launch. We've got the Corvette in there. Okay, we're gonna see what happens. The Corvette's at a bit of a disadvantage, just because we have to use this taller acrylic cover. So we're going to see how that plays out, and if I need to make some adjustments, I will, but hopefully the Corvette can just make it down the track without needing any other modifications. So we've got the Corvette in lane 1. We've got the Cone Shaker in lane 2. Race 1, here we go. Three, two, one, race. Uh-oh. That Corvette's got some speed too. Now the Cone Shaker is probably a slow car, but just looking at the speed, it looked like that Corvette, it looked like it was moving. So we're gonna go back, reset these cars, and I'm pretty sure the, whoa, got that caught up here. I'm pretty sure the Corvette is gonna take this. So I'm actually already kind of looking down the road at some of the other matchups, because we've got the Jaguar, which I'm not convinced that the Jaguar is all that fast. We've got Ballistik, which had a pretty close matchup with the Darth Vader car. And then the Ford GT, which really looked fast. But we're going to see. We're going to see. So we've got the Cone Shaker in lane 1. The Corvette is now in lane 2. And we are just about, come on, Cone Shaker, stay put. These cars sometimes don't want to cooperate. All right. Nope. Nope. Still. There we go. All right. Cone Shaker lane 1. Corvette lane 2. Race 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. I mean, the Corvette just smoked the Cone Shaker, but the Cone Shaker, I only expected so much, and I think I got about what I expected. So the Cone Shaker's out. We are now through with the gimmick portion of today's program, and we are going to just be checking out the cars that are here to race, and we're going to see what's what. We've got the, let's see, we've got the Ford GT, we've got Ballistik, we've got this Jaguar. We are going to go with, let's go with Ballistik and the Jaguar. So, we have now, oh, I got to switch this out, this here, this one on. All right, get these cars lined up. The Ballistik will be in lane 1. The Jaguar is going to be in lane 2. Race 1 coming up. Here we go. Jaguar lane 2, Ballistik lane 1. 3, 2, 1, race. Ooh. That race was close, and once the cars got just past the halfway point, the Ballistik started to make its move, and as I've explained and we've discussed before, what's really happening is the other car is slowing down. So when the cars are pretty even, and then all of a sudden it looks like the Ballistik is speeding up, the Ballistik's not speeding up. It's that the Jaguar is slowing down, usually as a result of some of the forces acting against it. And since it wasn't really bouncing around the track all that much, drag is usually the reason. And it's why when we put the cars in the wind tunnel on Wednesday and we can see how the air flows over, under, and around the cars, why that's important. Because the faster an object moves, the more drag increases and has an impact. All right, we've got Ballistik in lane 2. We have the Jaguar in lane 1. And here we go. Never Ending is one race away from moving on. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Again, these cars are they were pretty even about halfway through the track. And then towards the end, the Jaguar begins to slow down. And the Ballistik just kept its speed. And it opened up that gap and took the race. Let me see. I guess, let me fix this camera a bit. I guess it's from one of those earlier crashes, got bumped. All right, so now we are down to Ballistik, the Ford, and the Corvette. So we're going to put the Ford GT and the Corvette. They're going to hit the track right now, and we're going to see which car is going to meet up with Never Ending's Ballistik in the finals. We've got Roughshod's Corvette, which looked pretty good in its first race. We've got the Ford GT that's going to line up in lane 1. We've got the Corvette lined up in lane 2. Nice. Here we go. Ford versus Chevy. All right. Corvette lane 2, Ford lane 1, race 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Ooh. Another close one. That the Ford pulled it out right at the end, but it's maybe about like the third race today where I've had to look at the lights on the finish line because it was just that close to see exactly what was happening. All right, so make sure I've got that. All right, we are going to switch lanes and see if we're going to end up with a third and final race, or if the Ford is going to take 2 in a row. So let's go here. We've got the Corvette now in lane 1, Ford GT in lane 2. That Ford GT, the wing is, pressed up perfectly against the launching block. So that may have something to do with this car's performance, but we'll find out. So the Ford GT is in lane 2, the Corvette is in lane 1. Three, two, one, race. Now the Corvette did essentially what the Hellcat did earlier. It came out of the launching block. It went up on 2 wheels. It corrected itself, but the problem is that the Ford got a perfect launch. So the Ford didn't have to correct anything about its performance and alignment on the track, and by the time the Corvette got all 4 wheels back on the track and got aligned and straight and moving, the Ford was gone. And that's what I'm talking about with the launches. So that Corvette kind of has a curved back end, and I said it when we were reviewing the car that everything was going to depend on if it got a good launch, and that time it didn't. And when you start to get down to this level, the finals, quarterfinals, semifinals, you can't afford to have a bad launch and expect to win the race. So having a good launch is key. This Ford GT, that wing that presses up just perfectly against the launching block, is helping it, I think, to get a good solid push. That car, the Ford GT, is in lane 1. Never Ending's Ballistik is in lane 2. And with the Ballistik, it's going to be the same thing. Can it get a good solid launch? Because we know the Ford's going to get a good launch. If the Ballistik can get a good launch, who knows? So here goes race 1, Ballistik lane 2, Ford GT lane 1, race 1, here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Ford took it, and it was not really close. The Ford is definitely, I don't know, I mean, it's fast. It's a fast car. I just don't know how fast it is yet, because the benefit of getting a perfect launch every time is hard to really kind of understate how important that is. Understate? It's hard to understate. It's easy to understate. It's hard to overstate. Yeah, one of the two. Either way, getting a good launch is very important. All right, let's see. We are going to switch lanes. We are going to put the Ballistik now in lane number 1. We are going to put the Ford GT with its perfect launch capabilities in lane 2. And down to diecast. Thank you. Glad you could join us. You caught up right at the we're here at the finals. And if the Ford GT takes it, it's going to be today's winner. If the Ballistik, if Never Ending's pick Ballistik takes it, then we are going to a third and final race. So here we go. Race number 2, Ballistik lane 1, Ford GT lane 2, race 2. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. The Ford GT takes it. The rebound, is it going to make it all the way? Almost back to the starting line. The BlitzSpeeder, our fastest in fleet champion, I say this every week, it could be in some trouble. It could be in some trouble. The BlitzSpeeder is going to take on today's champion, which is the Ford GT. The Ford GT is getting absolutely beautiful launches, just perfect launches every single time. The BlitzSpeeder, that's one of the things that the BlitzSpeeder typically does, gets those good launches. So we're going to see, can the BlitzSpeeder knock off the Ford GT, or are we finally looking at the car that's going to become our newest fastest in fleet champion and take out the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet? The BlitzSpeeder, our fastest in fleet champion. It's been so for the last 2.5 months, and 4 months last year. It was our fastest in fleet champion, going up against the Ford GT40. I'm sorry, not 40, just the Ford GT. Ford GT in lane 2, BlitzSpeeder lane 1, fastest in fleet title on the line. Here we go, race 1. Three, 2, 1, race. Wow. After I spent all of that time bragging about how incredible the Ford GT was, getting these perfect launches, and perfect launches ensured that it was going to have an opportunity to blah, 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 blah. What happens? It got a little nervous. You know, you go up against the champ, and it's a different level. Well, the Ford GT came out, and it had a shaky start. It kind of went up on 2 wheels out of the launching block, and by the time it corrected, the race was over. You cannot have any mistakes whatsoever against the BlitzSpeeder. The BlitzSpeeder is too good, too fast to have anything less than your A game. So the BlitzSpeeder took that race, but it took it primarily because the Ford GT got a bad launch. It's the first bad launch of the day for the Ford GT, and it comes at the worst possible time, because now it's got to take 2 races in a row from the BlitzSpeeder. If it gets a good, perfect launch, maybe it's possible, but we're going to have to see, because we don't know what it can do, but it's going to have to show up right now. So the Ford GT is in lane 1, the BlitzSpeeder is in lane 2, race 2, here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. Look at the BlitzSpeeder coming all the way back slamming into the launching block. That's next level speed, because what we're talking about is Isaac Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The BlitzSpeeder hits the barrier at the end with so much force that it returns all the way back to the starting block. Some of the other cars got close, but it just shows you how fast the BlitzSpeeder is still moving by the time it crosses the finish line. It took that race. It remains fastest in fleet champion. I'm going to grab these cars up. We're going to go back in the garage, take a look at the winners, the losers. What did we see? What did we learn? And I'll be back in there in just a minute. It is the BlitzSpeeder once again. Let me focus in on the champ. The BlitzSpeeder once again just dominant. And I mean, I don't know how much more there is to say about this car. It is by far the fastest Hot Wheels car I've ever raced. And again, I just have to keep asking the question, how did it lose 2 races to the Gazella R last year? I just have no idea. It's still kind of blows my mind that happened, but it's come back. It's beaten the Gazella R. And then a few weeks back, when we had our 100th episode, we had a tournament of champions. We brought back every single car that had ever won the AtTheTrack.live tournament, and the BlitzSpeeder still came out on top. So even amongst the best of the best, it still was even better. Never ending. I don't know. I think you had a good solid pick. That Santa car would have probably been faster than the Skull Shaker and the Cone Shaker. Maybe not the Cone Shaker. It would have been faster than the Skull Shaker. But those gimmick cars, those hardcore gimmick cars, yeah, those are not the ones to go with. But we did see the Ford GT. Let me pull this one out. So the thing with this car is that wing is absolutely perfect. Now, granted, it didn't beat the BlitzSpeeder, but what we're looking at is, so the launching block is basically just about this wide. And so this thing, this wing, this tip, and that tip kind of wrap right around the edges of the launching block. So it's almost like it hugs it. So it fits, it slides right into place. It's perfect. And this car was getting just great launches every single time until that first race against the BlitzSpeeder. And if there had been a human driver, if this had been human competition, I would have said it got a little nervous. It got a little nervous and kind of tightened up in that final race, because it came out and it went up on 2 wheels and then it straightened out. But against the BlitzSpeeder's staying on the track, and even if it wobbles, it's going to correct very quickly. It's staying on the track and it's moving. This car, it went up on 2 wheels, and by the time it got back down and was on the track, it was over. It was absolutely all over. And there really wasn't anything that could be done. And in the second race, it seemed like it got a good launch, but the BlitzSpeeder was out. And just, like, it just wasn't close. I'm trying to think what car, if I were picking cars, which car would I pick to go up against the BlitzSpeeder? And for a while I was thinking, all right, maybe it could be maybe the Gazella R if it had another good launch. But the Gazella R in that Tournament of Champions was beaten out by I think the Chaparral 2 beat out the Gazella R. I was thinking maybe the Draftnator, but the Gazella R beat the Draftnator. The Draftnator was another car we had that was going for a long time. And ultimately, that didn't work out so well for it either. And the BlitzSpeeder came out on top. Never ending. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Down to Diecast. If this is your first time joining us, if you go to AtTheTrack.live, there are 3 options, and one of the options says choose a car. And if you choose a car, you get taken to this page. And on this page, all of the cars that we have in our fleet are listed and numbered. So you just go through, find the car that you think would be faster than the cars that I'm introducing or that other people have picked. You take that number, you drop it in the chat, and then I pull the car, and what you just saw is the result. We take it to the track, we race the cars, and see which car is coming out on top. There are, like I said, there are 870 cars to choose from, and we have all kinds of cars. If there's a car that that you know that you're looking for, and you don't want to scroll through 800 cars to try and find it, you can always just send me the name of the car, and I have a spreadsheet here, and I can just check really quickly to see if we have it. If we don't have it, then I'll try and find it. I'll try and order it. It really just depends on how much it's going to cost. But that is where we're going. Okay, Rough Shot is already, he has them locked and loaded, boy, ready to go. So it's just like a quarterback. You throw the interception, you shake it off, and move on to the next play. He is going next. Oh, you're going with this one, with the with this Porsche GTI. Now, were you considering that one before? Because this one I had out, and I put it in. Didn't we race? Did this car race last week? I'm trying to think. Maybe not, but I guess I'm a little, because we definitely had this car out, and I don't remember if we had it out because it raced last week or if it was because we had it in the wind tunnel. But either way, this will be a car that that Roughshod may be going with for next Saturday, and I don't see anything wrong with this pick. I'll have to go back and look. And what you can do is, if anybody else, if you want to see what happened before, races you may have missed, you can always go to our YouTube page on the live tab. All the episodes are there. I have the cars listed with a time code, so you can just jump in to see what you want to see. Yeah, Never Ending, thank you. So Never Ending went with the Hollinator last week, which was a wild pick. Then he came back with the Rockin' Santa Sled, which was a different pick, absolutely. But then he changed up at the last minute, went with the Ballistik. Ballistik got to the finals and put in a good performance. We had these two weird cars, this Cone Shaker and the Skull Shaker, the Battle of the Shakers. And in that battle, we had the Cone Shaker come out on top, but just, pretty much by default. This cone thing just made it very tough to create even matchups. Fortunately, Roughshod's Corvette took out the Cone Shaker, so I didn't have to keep bothering with trying to get that adjusted. The Skull Shaker crashed multiple times, and I just don't think this is a car that is good enough, worth the trouble to keep in the fleet. So I think the Skull Shaker, this will be the last time you see the Skull Shaker. It won't be available to pick, and it is going to end up a prize car. Some student can pick it and have fun with the car, but it is just not going to work out on our track. So that is that. We have, of course, on Wednesdays, Wind Tunnel Wednesdays, we have the Winsible 1/64th scale wind tunnel. We put these cars in. We take a little more of a scientific look at the cars and what we're seeing in the aerodynamic profiles and the impact of drag. All of that, we're looking at that with these cars. Still waiting on the, they call it the Runsible. So I guess everything with them is able. So we have the Winsible, and now we're going to have the Runsible. And we'll be able to put the cars, it's a dyno for Hot Wheels cars, or 1/64th scale, and we'll be able to put that on there and get a better look at the cars in the wind tunnel. So they've claimed that we should be receiving them in the mail by the end of the month, and you know, they've got, what, 9 days or so. We'll see what happens, but that is on Wednesday. We're here at 4 p.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. And then every Saturday, we're here at AtTheTrack Live at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, and whatever time it happens to be where you're at. And we race the cars. You pick the cars, we race the cars, and I introduce some new cars into the fleet. If you would like some more information about our science program, all about aerodynamics, and how to bring that to your school or your organization or your special event, you can go to our website, aaAerodynamics.com, or you can go to AA Aerodynamics, and all of the information you need to contact me is in the bio. So I appreciate you watching. I hope you'll be here next week. We'll have some more good races, fun with Hot Wheels cars. I don't know what I'll find in storage. I don't know what cars you'll pick. We have Roughshod's Porsche pick ready to go, and we'll see what happens from there. So for all about aerodynamics, for At The Track Live, and for Wind Tunnel Wednesdays, I am Coach James, and until next time, I will see you at the races.